Well, thank you for coming. Thank you very much for being here. Lovely to see you, and it's lovely to be here in beautiful Sudbury with the sun shining and the snow glistening, the way winter is meant to be. Just before I begin, I just want to acknowledge the tragedy of the attack on the Charlie Hebdo magazine and the senseless violence that really, I think, transcends borders. You know, it raises all of our concern about the freedom of the press and the role that the press plays in a democracy, and it really is a huge tragedy. My thoughts are with the victims and their families. Mes pensées sont avec les familles des victimes à Paris. So, on that note, I will just say again, thank you very much for being here. It's great to be here in Sudbury with Wynne Thibeault and Wynne Thibeault. Thank you so much for being here together. Today, Glenn showed me around the Sudbury Soup Kitchen. We spent some time talking with grade 12 students at LaSalle Secondary School, and as I always tell my staff, high school students ask much harder questions than adult audiences. I will just say that because they're direct and they know exactly what they're concerned about. And it doesn't take long in those environments. It didn't take me long to understand what makes Glenn such an effective leader in this community. Glenn was so well received, and he has an intimate knowledge of Sudbury, and his passion for this place is undeniable. So it was a real pleasure to have those experiences. Glenn has a proven track record of serving his constituency and all of his constituents and championing the needs of his community. Glenn a fait ses preuves au service de ses électeurs et a fait valoir les besoins de sa communauté. And that's why I am thrilled that Glenn will be the Ontario Liberal candidate in this by-election. Glenn knows what our plan can do for this community, and that's why we're happy to have him with us. Voilà pourquoi je suis ravie qu'il se présente comme candidat libéral de l'Ontario lors de cette élection partielle. Our government is investing in the talents and the skills of our people, and the conversation that I had with the students at LaSalle today was about just that. How important it is that we invest in them, because they are the present and they are the future. They're so important to the province. We're building new public infrastructure, and I answered a question today from one of the students about what we were doing for Sudbury, what we were doing for the North, and investments in roads and bridges, the infrastructure that we know is necessary for communities to thrive is an integral part. It's a pillar of what we believe is necessary for economic growth and stability in the North. We're creating a dynamic and a supportive environment where business can thrive, and we're doing that because we know that when government partners with business, there is much more progress possible. It's not good enough for government just to say to business, you know, we've created an environment, now you just go and do your thing. We need to work with business. We've got a very competitive tax regime, but we also need to partner with business to make sure that they can make the investments that are necessary for them to be able to thrive. And we're building a secure savings plan so that people who have worked hard all their lives have the capacity to retire with some security. I need Glenn's experience and energy as we move forward with that plan that we believe is the right plan for Ontario, and I need him at the table as we build up Ontario and we build up Sudbury. Those go hand in hand. And no one understands more than Glenn the pressing issues that Sudbury residents expect their MPP to raise at Queen's Park. The Ring of Fire, the economic development that's possible around the Ring of Fire, the creation of good jobs, good stable jobs, the investments in infrastructure like Maley Drive and the continuation of the investment in Highway 69. Those are the issues that I have heard repeatedly and that Glenn knows intimately. Personne ne comprend mieux que Glenn les questions pressantes que les résidents de Sudbury s'attendent que leurs députés soulèvent à Queen's Park. L'anneau de feu, la création de bons emplois, la promenade Maley et l'autoroute 69. Sudbury deserves stable representation as soon as possible to ensure that its voice is heard when it comes to these important issues. With the writ dropping today and Election Day on February 5th, the people of Sudbury will have a representative in the legislature when business resumes. And that was always my intention, to have a representative for Sudbury in the legislature when the legislature comes back after Family Day. So when we take the next steps for our plan for Ontario, the people of Sudbury will have their interests represented, and I hope that they choose Glenn to do that important job. Lorsque nous entamerons les prochaines démarches de notre plan pour l'Ontario, les intérêts de la population de Sudbury y seront représentés. J'espère qu'ils choisiront Glenn pour accomplir cette tâche importante. Now, I'd like to formally introduce you to the Ontario Liberal Party candidate for the riding of Sudbury, Wynne Thibeault.
Just dropped my pen. Wrote so many notes, I wanted to make sure that I had my pen there handy to keep. Thank you very much. Well, thank you everyone for coming this afternoon. It's great to see so many familiar faces, and I am very excited to be able to be standing up here and speaking to you, and in a new capacity, continue to fight for the things that matter to most for the people of Sudbury. Jobs, healthcare, transportation, just to name a few. I'm also very excited to be part of the Ontario Liberal team, and would like to thank Premier Wynne and the entire Liberal caucus for the warm welcome that I have received. Following my years of service at the federal level, on behalf of Sudbury and the North, I know that when it comes to matters like Highway 69, the completion of the Maley Drive extension, improving access to quality health care, and of course creating great jobs through mineral development in the Ring of Fire, I will be a more effective champion for Sudbury and for the North at the provincial level. The people of this community have been clear. They want a representative who understands not only what makes Sudbury great, but someone who is familiar with the unique set of issues that come with living in the North. I look forward to the coming weeks, getting out into the community, my family's community, seeing familiar faces, and seeing some unfamiliar faces, and making those new connections along the way. At the end of the day, we all have the same goal: a stronger, more prosperous Sudbury within a thriving Ontario. Thank you very much, and I look forward to the next 28 days. Thank you.
On the advice of Mr. Bartolucci, we are sending out an invitation to all and sundry to join us in Sudbury. There's, what did you say, Rick? There's nothing like a winter campaign in Sudbury. I think that's a true statement. We're happy to take your questions.
In regard to Mr. Olivier's allegations, if the OPP does open up an investigation into those allegations, and it turns out that appointments were offered to him by a member of your party or a volunteer of your party, how would you react?
Well, so let me just once again be clear about why there was a conversation with Andrew Olivier, and I have said this repeatedly. I had made a decision to appoint Wynne Thibeault as the candidate, and I had a conversation with Andrew Olivier because I wanted to keep him as part of the team. You know, I would much rather have him working with us, and I wanted to make sure that he knew what was happening. I didn't want him to learn about my appointing Glenn from someone else or in the paper or in some other way. I wanted to have that direct conversation with him and to say to him, you know, we want you to be involved. That's what the conversation was about, and you know, I look forward to the next 28 days. As Glenn has said, we have a great candidate. We have a candidate who has deep experience in Sudbury, who understands the community, who knows what the needs are, and will be a very strong voice at Queen's Park. And so we're going to go through the next 28 days. We're going to run a strong campaign, and you know, I look forward to working with Glenn on that.
So did you or anybody from your party offer him?
I've been clear. I've been clear that the conversation I had with Andrew Olivier was about staying involved. There were no commitments made on anything, and my wish was that he would stay involved. He chose not to. We have a great candidate, and I look forward to the next 28 days.
Premier Wynne, Sudburyans' heads are reeling. We had our MPP quit, we had Glenn move over. You know, this has been called so quickly. It's just a lot for Sudburyans to handle. And it just seems like the whole thing, some people are saying, is just kind of being forced on us, you know, the quickness of it all.
Well, so here's my thinking. We had a general election a very short time ago, June 12th. And you know, I know it's a very unusual situation for just a few months after a general election, a seat to be vacant. And we're going into a budget. You know, there are very important decisions that are going to be made over the next few weeks. It seemed very important to me that quickly there be a representative for Sudbury in our caucus at Queen's Park because we just did have a general election. And I think, you know, I take the point that it's been very quick, but it's been quick because we just had an election, and I really didn't think it was fair to wait a long time before there was a representative for Sudbury at Queen's Park. So that's why, and I've been clear all along that I thought it was only right that there would be a representative when the House came back after Family Day. So that's the timing. And just on the extra week, I'll come, it's not that I'm avoiding French. You know, people need to understand that once the election happens, there is a bit of time that's necessary in order for the name to be gazetted and all of those pieces. So if we have the election on the 5th, then there's time for the member to be in the House by after Family Day. Pardon.
Oui, non, ça va, merci Madame Wynne. Bon, Monsieur Thibeault qui est passé du NPD aux libéraux, Andrew Olivier qui a comme délaissé le Parti libéral, allé comme indépendant parce qu'il veut quand même représenter les électeurs de Sudbury. Le NPD qui détenait le siège ici. Est-ce que vous avez peur un peu que le vote soit divisé et que vous n'arriviez pas à rallier suffisamment d'électeurs derrière votre parti?
Nous allons travailler très fort pour avoir une délibération forte pour Glenn. Et c'est pour les gens, les citoyens de Sudbury à décider. Ce n'est pas ma décision, c'est la décision pour les citoyens de Sudbury. Mais nous allons parler avec tous les citoyens en Sudbury pour renforcer que Glenn est un candidat représentatif très fort pour leur intérêt.
Premier, he could have asked this, I'm not 100% sure. But just looking back at the whole process, now that the election date is set, would you have changed anything about the appointment process? And because it may have ticked off some people, some voters. I mean, there's only 34,000 voters who can vote in this by-election. So would you have changed anything looking back?
You know, I try at every juncture to make the decision that's not going to lead to a regret. And so the fact is that I made a decision that appointing Wynne Thibeault was what I needed to do. I've done that. We're going to move forward now and run a very strong, positive campaign because we have so much to offer the people of Sudbury. We have so much to offer the people of Ontario, and having Glenn as part of the team is only going to enhance the plan that we've already got in place.
Premier, if Mr. Olivier does happen to win as an independent here, you said yourself you would have liked him to work with you. Would there be a possibility of you trying to talk him to your side?
That's a hypothetical that I'm not gonna talk about at this point because we've got 28 days that are going to make a huge difference in terms of the representation here in Sudbury.
Premier Wynne?
Yes.
Hi, I have two questions.
Hi.
Both of which are quite point to Sudburyans. I'm wondering if you can comment on Sabrina Drive. We met with Prime Minister Harper recently. And I'm also wondering if you can comment on the timing of the mining inquest that's been called.
So in terms of the of Maley Drive, you will know that our commitment was in our budget, and my hope is that the fact that we have a firm commitment will trigger the federal government to come forward and match that commitment. So you know, that we will continue to work with the federal government on that, but our commitment remains firm. I did have a conversation with the Prime Minister about infrastructure in general. We didn't talk about individual projects, but it certainly is part of our priority list. In terms of the inquest into the mining accident, the fact is that when there is a mining death, there is an automatic inquest. And so, you know, there will be a report that comes out of that inquest. And I always look at these as tragic, but opportunities when there is a report that comes forward to improve safety, to make decisions that can improve the lives of people going forward.
Can I ask a question to Mr. Thibeault?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. In French, if you want to try.
Et je pratique chaque jour.
Would you have preferred to run and win a nomination meeting?
Again,
En français, si possible.
En français, c'est une question difficile parce que c'est le mot hypothetical en français, ce n'est pas dans ma tête maintenant, mais la situation pour moi, maintenant, c'est une élection très, très vite. Et maintenant, je marchais partout dans la ville pour gagner l'élection. So, donc, avec le Premier ministre, I had to get that one, c'est très important pour moi pour parler avec elle pour la situation. Et la situation dit c'est une élection très vite. Et maintenant, je travaille dans l'élection. Et c'est ça.
But you still feel good about the fact that there were no choice for the party member?
Well, you know what, if you look at it from the point of this by-election, from what the Premier and I had the conversations initially, this was going to be a quick turnaround. And as the date today shows that, it is a very quick turnaround. And so, you know, the process for me is, now I've got to win this by-election, I've got to gain the trust of people of Sudbury to be able to be their voice back down in Toronto. And so I'm looking forward to what the next 28 days will hold.
Merci.
Last one, please.
Merci.
Mr. Thibeault, what is access going to be like to you in the next 28 days? It's been pretty tightly controlled by Premier Wynne's office the last couple of weeks. Like, can we call you? Have you got a number?
First off, you've called me Mr. Thibeault, Carol. When did you ever do that? Oh my Lord. So I was like, wow. Of course. You know what? First off, there was Christmas.
Yeah.
And so holidays, and my accessibility isn't changing. You know, there was one person where I did apologize to the media because I didn't get back to them as quickly as I'd like. I am always going to be as accessible as I always have been.
Can we ask a question for
And
beer
I think,
stores?
can I just comment on that too, because it is part of my practice, as you know, Carol. When I come, I try to talk to the media and answer questions always. So that has been our practice and will continue to be our practice.
Last one over here.
Est-ce que vous pouvez commenter le changement aux beer stores?
Oui, le changement aux beer stores. Nous avons à ce moment une commission avec Ed Clark qui fait une revue de cette question et des autres questions. Et nous allons attendre pour son rapport. Et cette information d'aujourd'hui, c'est maintenant une partie de cette discussion. So the information that has come out today from the beer store will be part then of the discussion that Mr. Clark is having with his commission on the assets and on revenue. So we're not going to comment or analyze what has come out today explicitly. That will be part of the discussion with Mr. Clark.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Merci.